We were ready for it. We'd been training for it for 7 months in England, and we were all set for it. And when we finally came in, Utah was the easier beach to land on as compared to Omaha, of course. We were subjected to harassing fire from the Germans, but essentially then the plank, the front end of the LST plopped down, and we had to walk through 50 or 60 yards of, knee-high, waist-high water. After about an hour of walking into Normandy near Saint-Marie-de-Mont village, where there are all these dead bodies around, Germans, Americans from the 101st and 82nd Airborne, various German troops and civilians, and all these parachutes hanging from the trees. This was 4 days later, but still these parachutes were still hanging there. The wrecked gliders. You saw all this stuff together at the same time, you knew it was serious stuff. Mortain was probably the first main one, and that was a serious and important battle that lasted for, let's say, a week. The 30th Division, we were alongside of them. The 1st Division was there, and there were a whole bunch of, this was towards the end of July, and Hitler had finally released some of his divisions that had been holding up in north, thinking that there was going to be another invasion, which there wasn't. That was all part of the game plan. But by the time Mortain, the village of Mortain, and that battle came, that was serious stuff, particularly for the 30th Division. They lost 3,000 men in that battle. We lost 1,000. 1st Division lost quite a few. That leads you into the battle of what they called the Falaise Gap. That was a rather narrow battlefield, small, narrow roads, and the Germans had been beaten at Mortain, and they were withdrawing. That Falaise Gap was one of the terrible experiences as far as seeing what carnage can be done on the battlefield. There were 10,000 Germans killed. There were 30,000 captured, 30 to 50,000 captured. And it was the first big victory of the Allied forces there, this Falaise Gap. There was 2 rivers that contained the Germans in this area, and there was a narrow neck of the bottled up area for them to escape. And the Germans were very, very skillful and brave in their withdrawal plans through this narrow neck. But what a shellacking they took, as I just mentioned you, with those numbers from our airplane bombings and from all of our artillery bombings. We didn't need forward observers. We just had the map coordinates, and we just shells into this area, and there were these dead and wounded Germans all over the place. And this took 3 or 4 or 5 days. This went on, and in the meantime, the stench of decomposing bodies that were lying all around you. You knew what was happening. We even had to keep running over our equipment, our trucks and tanks, running over the same poor dead bodies to keep moving. You couldn't go around them because of these narrow roads, and because if you were able to go around them, there were just that many bodies covering the fields, or what was the field, off both sides. It was really a terrible area. I don't know if I answered your question. We were in and out of that general area for almost 5 months along the Siegfried Line. We got to know that area as well as the Germans who lived there did. Well, this Royal River area was, Royal River was down in a valley, and ROP was actually part way down the valley to the river. And the idea was we were going to make a crossing, which eventually we did, our infantry, and we wanted to get down there and try to find out what the strength was on the other side of the river. It's a narrow river, but still a river is a river. And that was a pretty hairy place. You could, at nighttime, you could, we didn't light matches or anything like that. We kept quiet. We didn't move out of a sort of a summer shack that we were living in, except at night. And if we moved around at night, you stayed quiet. We could hear the Germans on the other side of the river. That gave us a tip that those particular Germans weren't as disciplined or knowledgeable as we were. That gave us a good feeling.